Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another indie comic book review. This review, as well as the next two reviews, are going to be a bit late this week for obviously reasons. First of all, we had our week off. I had my week off from work. Now things hopefully will be getting back to normal. And also a lot of work I put into the 1000th video, which kind of pushed all the reviews a bit later than what I was anticipating, but I didn't anticipate hitting 1,000 this week either, so it was all one big humongous surprise on top of everything else that we're already planning and setting up for. So sorry for the late reviews, guys. Hopefully by next week everything will be back on time, especially because starting next week we have 5 years later in DC, and those reviews are going to be big because we're going to be covering everything. So lots of things to look forward to this year. So anyway, don't want to waste your guys' time too much on this because I talked about this in the haul, so let's not waste any time and get into the books from this week. And this week's books were released on August 20th, 2014, the second to last week of August, because remember, this is for the books 2 weeks ago, not this week that just passed. So let's actually start off with the digital. We have two special books, or three special books, 2 digital, 1 physical. Let's actually do the physical first, and then we'll go into the digital, the one book.
Yes.
For those of you that saw the haul this week, I'm talking about Argo 5, issue number 13, and we have a physical copy thanks to Dan. Dan Sin actually sent us a physical copy. He must know that number 13 is our favorite number.
Well, it's a lucky number also, but this was awesome. I really
This was a good issue, and for those of you, Dan actually tweeted on Twitter. For those of you that check this book out, on page 4, I believe, I want to make sure it's page 4 now because I don't remember the two. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. On page 4, which I'm not showing here, you get to see a special guest appearance from certain people who are on this review.
Yep.
Gee, I think I just gave it away. Oh well, if you want to see those panels though, you're going to have to check out the book or wait a while and I'll probably take pictures and tweet them on my Twitter. So if you're interested, keep your eyes out on Twitter.
I can post on my Facebook, because that's
and Mike will be posting on his Facebook. So this issue opens up with Law and Order and Shazrath going up against the Psychic. I forgot they didn't even really mention his name, did they?
No, I don't think so.
They didn't.
Like, he was just like the person that did like all these mind controls and stuff. It was,
yeah,
like, crazy.
he basically was able to control the minds. He reminded me of Psycho Pirate from DC a little bit because he has the ability to manipulate what people think.
He reminded me of Count Vertigo from Green Arrow.
A little bit. Yeah. Also, a little bit of an advisory, and I want to point this out. This book is rated M for mature because there is mature content in this book. Very mature content. And actually, I showed you the beginning of that mature content. Anyway, in the Argo 5 space station, you have Cassira and her, I believe it's her mother, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what it looked like.
Or no, her aunt. I'm sorry, it's her aunt. I don't know why, but I always thought of her as mother. And they're talking about Iblis. I said that right?
Mm-hmm. Iblis.
Iblis. And we get a huge story about Cassira's race and Iblis and how dangerous he is, and then of course he shows up and a bit of a fight ensues. Really awesome action. I love the artwork in this book, by the way. The artwork is beautiful, and I'm glad I could finally show some artwork because I loved this issue. And then the ending, however,
I love the ending. I'm
not showing the ending, but the ending, there's a lot of ramifications to something that bad guy, whatever his name will be, with the psychic powers did to Shazrath and Law and Order, and Gladiatra is not too happy about what happened.
I wouldn't want to be Shazrath over there. And they're all pin-ups also.
And I love how in the very end it says next issue, and then if you read the start it says, okay, not really, but... Yeah, but it says, see what really does happen in the next issue.
Oh, man.
This book was spectacular. I really loved it. You guys can check this all out at argocomics.com. I want to see if I can get a link. I believe it's in the first page, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Yeah, right there.
It's Argo Comics, argocomics.com. And you can get your copies of Argo 5, the Argo Comics Anthology, Sorority of Power, and the soon-to-be-released Havoc Patrol issue number 1.
And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about that.
When we get to the digital.
This was our physical copy from Argo Comics this week. But also this week, it's not just 1, but 2 issues. Now, this was my issue 5 out of 5 stars. Love it. Love Argo 5. Cannot wait for the next issue. Dan better have it on the printers by the time this review is done. Now we're going digital, and Mike's going to talk about his book.
Yes.
From Argo Comics.
Alright, let me just get the picture.
And it's Michael's favorite series from Argo Comics.
And that would be Sorority of Power, issue number 7?
Yes.
Yes, issue
Guest
number 7.
starring
Havoc Patrol. And, well, I'll tell you how it gets there. Like, long story short, they're doing, like, you know, their...
camping?
Camping thing, you know, setting up stuff, and, there's also, something that they're looking for, like, as a mission, because they always do their missions. And they run into these, people in the woods, like,
They look like Sasquatches.
Yeah, a bunch of that. And then this is where we get the Havoc Patrol to actually come before the Sorority of Power arrives. So they're fighting off against them, and when the Sorority of Power sees it in their spaceship, they go down, and first of all, they don't know that the other team is handling them. So when they see them, they actually work together. I didn't see any friction. Like, you know how when they fight each other and work together?
They fight against each other, and then they start working together. This time it's just straight up working together.
Yeah, this one's just straight up working together, and we get a little bit of characters of what their powers are a little bit, like, you know, by that. And
there's
I like
an awesome
this picture.
splash page.
Yeah, the artwork's really amazing, and I'll tell you one thing, Havoc Patrol working alongside with the Sorority of Power, you know, was really amazing. And there was a silver bullet, or some type of bullet, that was in the monkeys inside of them that made them go crazy. So when they took them out, they all poofed and went away. Literally, and that's the whole thing. And there are pinups, which there are some, I will admit, that I did like. And Chris probably sees it. And then this leads up to the solo series of what's going to be coming out next month. Havoc Patrol, issue number 1.
Which collects the fan favorite, which it did actually get a lot of props. Argo Comics Anthology 2 through 4 collects the entire fan favorite Havoc Patrol first story, which took place in Argo Comics Anthology 2 through 4. So it's basically the 3 comics segments combined into just one gigantic book.
And that I'm looking forward to reading. Havoc Patrol.
Even though you've read it already, you just look forward to having it all in one collection.
All in one, that's what I meant.
And what comes after that, of course, because there will be obviously a comic after that at some point.
Yep.
So, what did you think of that?
I really think it's awesome. Like, I give that a 5 out of 5. I enjoy Sorority of Power every time I read that with their little, you know, giggity stuff, you know. I give it Giggity Goo 5 stars in case, you know, I knew you were waiting for me to say that. That's why I did, yeah. But, alright, so the next comic, this is from Assailant Comics, which is Binary Gray, issue number 8.
Awesome cover.
Yeah, and in this issue, it actually talked about Gray's father, you know, a long time ago of what he did and stuff. There's a lot of dialogue, so, you know, you're just going to have to read it. It was just something that he was working on years ago. And then it gets to, you know, the present day where Gray got caught by the agencies. They took him in, they beat him up, and they told him about his father. And they also wanted to hack into an account to get money and stuff like that, or else they were going to kill his mother. And that was a whole bit of a thing there. And then we get the team, oh, I can't believe I forgot their names.
The Protectors?
Yeah, the Protectors. Like, they're just out doing their mission while Gray is just, you know, trying to, you know, we actually see something really interesting, like the time when he used his powers, when things got very, very, when things got, like, out of control. Like, he used his powers, and lots of stuff happened there, like, when he used his powers. And we see Bentham, who resurrected and alive. I mean, we all saw that from last issue. And we see Gray's more of using his powers. And the consequence of that, spoiler, his mother died during the whole thing. And that was really something else. So after that, there's like a whole bunch of thing where Gray is now just going on his own journey because now with him not being...
He's on the run.
Well, on the run, also from the agencies. But he's not in the Protectors anymore because he left.
Right.
Because Chris told him, the character, that he didn't want him there anymore because of what happened to his father, and that'll happen there. But I really enjoyed this. 5 out of 5. I can't wait for the next Binary Gray issue, and really great stuff. If you want to check out more from then, you could go to assailingcomics.com, and you could see more updates of what's coming out of there. But really great stuff from Chris Charleston's works, and always glad to read them.
Alright, with that now we're going to get into the rest of the physical books, and then we'll go into the hardcover books.
Alright, from Zenoscope, issue number 1, Patrick Shan's Robin Hood. The brand new ongoing series that I am so satisfied of knowing about, that there's a Robin Hood issue. And it starts off with just Robin Hood being Robin Hood, like just, you know, just doing her thing. And she actually is working with Meredith of...
Marion.
Marion? Oh, I'm sorry, Marion. And here's some artwork, by the way.
Meredith.
I had a long week.
The week just started. It's Monday.
Moving on now. So they meet up with this woman who's actually been seeing some weird things of the coven, like, you know, like some about
Coven.
demons and stuff like that. And she talks about this one character, June, and there's like lots of other stuff that she says, and if you want to find out, definitely read more in the book. And she actually goes to this bar to find out, you know, who's doing all this spreading of the spirits and stuff like that, which leads to a note that leads into a church, and we actually find out about the priest who is really behind all this. And well, let's just say this is the next challenge for Robin Hood, Marion, and the rest of them. But it's actually, the priest's been waiting for Marion. It's been a long while, but...
And Marion's powers don't work too well outside of the mist, so her powers are very limited.
Right. I didn't want to mention it because they wanted to read it, but... Alright, but yeah, but
we did talk about this several times before.
And we did, but, yeah. 5 out of 5. Definite series to look into.
We did talk about Robin Hood #1 as well as Grim Fairy Tales 101 on the live show. We had a live show 2 weeks ago where we had Zenoscope. We had Patrick Shannon and a few other people on who were talking about Robin Hood. We talked about Grim Fairy Tales. And we talked about a bunch of other things that are coming up from Zenoscope, and we are looking forward to it.
But it's an ongoing series, so I definitely say check it out and see what you think for yourself.
Says launch on the cover, your best jumping on point if you haven't jumped on in the past 100 issues, Grim Fairy Tales 101. Now, this series takes place a year from now, because this takes place after Realm War. So basically everything is over, all the ramifications, everything. There's no dropping of any hints. We do not know what happened during Realm War in this issue. We have no clue. All we know is, obviously, Realm War is going to end with Earth being normal again.
Right.
Semi. We don't even know that, to be honest. But we now see a new chapter for Seela and the rest of the Grimm fairy tale characters. Seela is now the headmistress of a school with other protectors. You read this, right?
Yeah, a little bit of this, yeah.
We get introduced to some really cool characters, whom I'm not going to spoil them, because you really, really, really need to read this book. And even on the live show, Pat said that we're going to know who these characters are as the story moves forward. This is a perfect Grim Fairy Tales meets Hogwarts. It's awesome. And basically they're in this school. We get introduced to certain characters. And as the book shows, we also find a lamp and we find a genie. And that's where the issue basically leaves off. And then, of course, lots of advertisements, lots of awesome series coming very soon from Zenoscope.
Yeah, that genie is going to be really helpful, I can see. Well, hopefully.
Best thing I can say for this book, because is, first of all, hold them tightly. Second of all, I'm leaving out a lot of this book, if not a lot, because you guys, this is your jumping on point. I don't want to spoil a jumping on point with this book because a lot of people have asked me when's the best time to jump on and why. I'm telling you when the best time to jump on. It's right here with this issue. The why, however, is you have to read the book to find out yourself. Guys, it is a $2.99 book. Check it out. It's worth $3. I love it. I can't wait for the series to continue. And they've got really nice covers for Grim Fairy Tales.
Yep. And speaking of Grim Fairy Tales, there's a versus book.
Grim Fairy Tales vs. Wonderland, issue number 2, explored by Troy Brownfield.
Yep. 204.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like...
well, we saw it coming. I mean, they ended up, instead of fighting each other...
Yeah, because we saw a little bit of that
show.
in Wonderland, yeah. The battle between... between Sela and the White Queen, from what we saw in the last issue. Or was it in Wonderland? I think it was only in Wonderland.
I think it was only in Wonderland.
Yeah, because I can't remember. But anyway, so it's just like this whole big fight about that. And then meanwhile, we get into about demons in the I forgot where it was. It was like in some place where
the Dark One.
Where the Dark One actually is behind us. Who didn't see that? I mean, I knew he was behind us because I've been reading that. And it's just an all-out fight, and I really love the artwork in this book. And I don't want to say what they were saying during the fight because I don't want to spoil it like what you said of 101. So, but it's really interesting, and of course, when they fight, they work together, and there's just like a whole big thing. And the Dark One is planning to be to make like a world domination and everything. Meanwhile, Sela has a lot that and the Dark Queen are going to have a lot to deal with. And, because like they say, that's just how the cards fall. So that's going to be
and there's a lot of people the White Queen needs to save, and most of those people are the Spade soldiers.
This was really good. I mean, Xenoscope books that we read are really excellent. I mean, this is a definite pickup also. Only 2 more issues until the Grim Fairy Tales vs. Wonderland series is complete. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Hey, look, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 annual.
Well, it's about time.
$8. $8 for a very thick book. So don't think I'm complaining about the expense because this book has its own spine, which is rare to see nowadays in comic books. I love how IDW manages to do that. We have parts of this book, in color, and we have parts of this book in the classic, the way Kevin Eastman started the series, and that is the classic black and white, which I like that they actually took the time to take some scenes and make it colored in the very beginning, and then once, I forgot her name.
Oh, come on. I knew her. Renette. Is her name.
Once Renette showed up and she kind of dragged the turtles through time or whatever, everything changed to black and white for the rest of the book, which was
and this
awesome.
is all leading before Turtles in Time.
Right.
This is all before that.
It's a big setup with the turtles fighting multiple people in this place in the back. I forgot what it was called.
And they worked with that guy that was I can't remember unless I see it, but he really was working with the turtles, and they were like fighting in this big
arena. Yeah.
Well, yeah, arena. You could say that much.
And then they traveled back home. However, when we see them home, we see them all back from their journeys or whatever.
Yeah, and the water thing was funny.
But in the last 2 pages, we get to see Renette back in time with the dinosaurs. So basically, it ends. So this ends the full story. But before the turtles made it home, they had their own little journey through time, which leads into Turtles in Time. So the last 2 pages, the last couple of pages in color here take place after Turtles in Time, when the turtles returned from their time travel through many different generations. However, I like the artwork in this book. I'm not a fan of what artwork we've been getting in Turtles in Time. This was an awesome setup. It would have been better if it came out before Turtles in Time started, because already we are at issue 3, I believe, coming out next week, and this took place before that. And actually, the ending, I can understand they did give us the ending before finishing the miniseries, but at the same time, this either should have come out completely after Turtles in Time or before it, not in the
Right.
middle of it. But then again, as they say, you know, sometimes publishing, you know, things are late.
Now we get a better
I can
understanding
understand
of
that.
the book and all that.
Right. So let's jump into Valiant, because we have 2 #1s from
Yes.
Valiant this week. We have Dr. Mirage, the death-defying Dr. Mirage, issue #1. How
Yes.
was it, Mike?
This issue, I like how the main character, wait, go up, I think Jan was her name?
Shan?
Shan.
And Leo?
Well, no, Leo was someone I was talking about. But Shan is in this, like a place where they have like a circle where she could communicate with spirits. Now, she could communicate with spirits, like saying like, oh, your husband has come with a message saying, you know, yada 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 and all that stuff. So then Leo meets up with Shan later on, and he has this person who she wants him to meet, which is Leon. No, you just passed.
Did?
Yeah, right there. Who's that?
Dr. Mirage, it says.
No, the search bubble. I think Linton March. Yeah, Linton March. I thought it was Leon, but yeah, Linton March.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and they have like this big conversation about, you know, the entities and lots of other things that I don't want to spoil. You just have to read the book. And he asks her to do this one thing that he can't do, and then she says, "Oh, I don't think I should do this because I know what it can do." And then she feels this other power from this different place, who she can actually communicate with. And he was trying to tell her, you know, like, that's why I've been trying to tell you and everything. And she said that she was going to look into it a little bit more. But Linton March, I don't know about his character. There's something fishy about him for some reason. That's what I feel. And afterwards, there's just this whole thing where she actually hasn't been communicating with her husband because her husband has been dead for a long while now. When his name was. And now she has to go through this portal, which will lead where? Well, that's to be continued in the next issue. Really interesting comic book. I would definitely jump onto it if you're interested in like ghosts or, I wouldn't say paranormal, just maybe some magic stuff here and there, but something to look into reading. Alright, and we have this book, The
Delinquents,
issue #1. And at first it started off
It looks
with
like
these-
Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah, it was like 2 hobos who are going on a train, and they find this map that can lead into something really, really big. It's like a center of something when they read about it. They do explain more in the comic book what it means. All
Little square boxes.
Yeah, all works pretty good though, I have to admit that. And it's just really just them trying to figure out what this can lead into. And there are lots of people who are probably going to go after it. There's this one scene where this guy who owned a farm didn't want to give it to them because he didn't trust them as much. And, well, let's just say the way the guy killed them was very graphic and bloody. So that's all I'm going to say for that. And then as the issue continues on, you know, there are lots of other things that are like, I guess, some unnecessary, so to say, with, you know, like, what the next stop is. And the guys we see on the cover actually appear in this issue.
And so does the goat.
Yeah, and the goat, who actually work together. And they find out more about, you know, they go to this Messiah guy who knows, like, about the religious stuff. I really was, like, okay when I was reading that part.
And the goat licks the map.
Yeah, I know, and that was, like, really something else. So then, as we get into later on in the comic book, there's just, like, these things that the guy hears in his head of what to do and stuff. And from what I could see, from how this issue is going to be, the 2 of them are going to be working with the hipsters, or hobos, so to say. You know, they have this actually next issue called Hobos Before Bros, and I thought that was actually pretty funny. Or Bros Before Hobos, so you have a little mix up there. But It was kind of interesting and cool to read, but if you want to find out more for yourself, definitely read that.
Right. Let's get through Savage Dragon 197. The rumor is that in 200, the original Savage Dragon's coming back.
And Malcolm has been going through this whole thing of turning into this monster, and this girl
the whole reason he was turned into a monster was just basically so his body would heal him and they'd get a cure.
But there was this chemical that, or chemical thing that he drank that turned him into a monster, and that could hurt everybody else. So Malcolm, getting back to normal after being tasered by something that, an antidote of some type that could change him back to normal, he took the gun to help the others from not turning into him as well. And the police didn't stop him then. But then this girl comes in and chops his 2 arms off, like his hands, and he was sent to the hospital immediately. So it was good news and bad news. The good news is that he got his arms back. Bad news is that he lost his powers of controlling electricity.
Which was his mother's power.
Which was his mother's power. And the only reason why he survived is because of the mother's blood who didn't have powers. His father's blood they could have given to him.
If the father was still around.
Right, but they said that they wanted his blood a while ago, and he refused to give it then. So now would be the best time in case he runs into another scenario like that again. His blood could bring him back to life. So,
or he could keep his powers.
Well, I could keep his powers. Then there was this other stuff.
That was it was more of a preview.
I didn't read it really because I didn't really have much time to read that much this week. Okay, so we have this other issue. We have time.
We have 52 seconds, so let's wait, and we will go into the next part, and we will finish off this week's indie comic review. So hang tight, and we'll be back in the click of a button. And we're back, and we are now in Image Comics, Protectors Inc. issue number 8.
Yep. And in this comic book, the detective is there's a lot of cases that he's trying to figure out. Like
all at once.
Yeah, like there are these people that call him Thomas, his name is actually, and he gets this one interesting phone call from this doctor who probably thought of how the girl died, like a scenario of some type that relates to one of the Protectors Inc.'s former heroes. And then like there's after that this whole big thing of this person who we don't know who it is that's chasing after the detective, and it's like he wants and trying to kill him because he wants like revenge, and we don't know who this person is because in issues we just see him with the mask, but we don't know who it is underneath the mask.
Right.
And then there's this whole big thing where he's talking to forgot what his name was, but you can read the comic book to find out yourself.
Looks like Tony Stark, to be honest.
Yeah, and there was a file that he wasn't supposed to tell him. Like he can't really give him much of the investigation because it's supposed to be very discreet. In other words, a secret. And then this girl who came in from the other issues, she makes a return and tells him other stuff. But then another spirit or another light hero comes in and knocks out the detective. For what reason? It's to be continued. So I don't know why he did that, but whatever the reason is, hopefully they'll have a reason for it in the next issue. But we'll see if he's a good guy or not.
Alright, from Boom Studios we got Translucid issue number 5. I believe this is the final issue, right?
I do not know, but...
Or maybe not, I could be
wrong.
Well,
in Translucid, it first starts off with a horse captured, wow.
The guy who tried to capture him last time.
Yeah, but it relates to the kid. Like he is from the kid a long time ago. Why does his name escape me now? Alright, well, anyway, it leads to that where, the guy, the horse had many villains that were, with him or something like that to help him. So I forgot what his name was, but he's like saying, you know, where his mother is, and he can't accept the fact that he's not going to be home anymore because of that. So he was sent to a foster home with nuns, and he meets up with this kid, Peso, I think his name was, who has been beaten up by Father Andrews, I believe his name is. And ironically, he had powers to actually tell him that, you know, you will not abuse or hurt anyone anymore, which was pretty cool to see that. And then afterwards, we find out what really happened to his mother, and she actually has hung herself, and that led into destruction for him. So he meets his mother, spiritually, but then it gets very, very creepy-like in the end. So that boy has went through a lot of stuff, and I'm talking like in a very creepy way. It's just
Bad.
It's bad. No, the comic's not bad. I'm just saying,
No, the comic's not bad. What he's going through, however,
what he's
is
going
bad.
through, it's like very traumatizing. It's just like really something else. But
All right, let's jump into some Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Darth Maul, Son of Darth Omir, the final part, issue number 4. Darth Maul knew that, why? I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
I know, now you know how I feel. I really
Jeez,
hate this.
and this is a character, Dooku. Count Dooku. He knew that he was lying the whole time, that he was faking, that it was all planned from the Sidious. But, basically, they sacrifice, pardon this vibrating, he sacrifices Dooku in order to bring Darth Omir back, because there needs to be, she sacrificed herself so that Darth Maul could come back, so now that he's sacrificing Dooku in order for Darth Omir to come back in the physical form.
Right.
Sidious and, this is just
The
not
Emperor?
my night. No, Sidious is the Emperor, and I forgot,
right. Wow, I really... Well, I don't read his comics, so I don't really...
General something, I can't remember. Grievous! General Grievous. They mount a attack on Darth Maul. They were following him. This was all part of this grand plan that the Emperor planned. So they attack, unknown to Darth Maul and his people. Darth Omir possesses Dooku. Dooku and Darth Maul fight against Sidious, aka the Emperor, and General Grievous. Of course, Darth Omir leaves leaves Count Dooku's body and reemerges in a physical form. However, it was all planned by the Emperor. In the end, long story, very sad story, short, Darth Omir saves her son and basically sacrifices herself to the Emperor in order to do that. So the Emperor, in the end, actually does win. We won't know what happens next with Darth Maul because this is the end.
Yeah, because now they're all going to Marvel.
There is one more. This was a very good book. Awesome artwork. Left out a bunch of stuff. A lot of words. A lot of conversations on purpose. You should read this miniseries. It was my favorite. My second favorite miniseries. Star Wars Rebel Heist being my first. Mm-hmm. There's one more book that is coming out of Dark Horse before Star Wars is completely finished with Dark Horse. And that is next episode, the last week of August 27th. Star Wars Legacies. Now, you guys know I don't read Star Wars Legacy. I'm giving it an honorable mention now, as I will also give it an honorable mention next week. I don't read it. I was far behind, and unfortunately now it doesn't matter because Star Wars Legacies is ending, and everything's going over to Marvel, and starting November, Marvel will have Star Wars in their roster, and the Star Wars books will be moving to the Marvel reviews, obviously because they're coming out of Marvel Comics. Yeah. So let's move on to the next story, which is The Strain, The Night Eternal, issue number 1.
I really...
This was a creepy book.
I couldn't find interest in this book.
I didn't either, to be honest. It's popular. It's getting its own TV show. Yeah. It has its own TV show.
Well, I didn't know that.
That's why I recommended you to read this.
Yeah, but I mean, in some parts it was okay, but it's very disgusting. Some of it,
they're like vampires, except they don't use teeth. They use these long tongues.
No, they're demons actually, not
they're demons. Yeah,
they're not vampires, but they're demons, and it's some about them looking for some type of vessel or whatever it was. I don't know, I just really couldn't find it, like it didn't jump out at me like saying, wow, this was interesting, or wow, this was good. It was, I don't know what to say.
Not something of our
it's
taste.
Just, yeah, that's the word I was looking for, but, No, I mean, if you guys want to check it out, you can. But for me, no. The Strain just didn't really hold me.
Now, if you want to talk about something that is in our taste, let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 10, Issue number 6. This was awesome. Buffy basically can't stand the people she's living with anymore. I forgot his name. I don't know his name. But anyway, basically, the rents are going to go up, so he brings in more college roommates, and it's becoming one of those fraternity kind of like houses. So Buffy basically gives notice without having a place to move to. And everybody gets upset at her because, like, you gave notice. Do you know how much rent is? There's no way. And they start looking for places, and they can't find a place. And literally 5 minutes after the person she gave notice to put her room out on the market, there were a bunch of people at the doors already. So there's a scene with Giles and Willow about Giles' situation where if they try to change him, if they try to age him, it could also kill him.
They're still trying to find out?
No, not anymore. It's better that he stays a child because if he grows up again, there's a risk of him dying.
And that could be a consequence. So
right.
That could be understandable.
So finally, thanks to a detective, Giles and Willow find a place for themselves, Buffy, Spike, and everybody else to move to. However, here's the stipulation. The place is haunted. So if they can get rid of the ghost or the hauntings that are going on in there, they can live there. They'll be able to move in and live there. So they go in thinking this is going to be an easy exorcism, whatever. Wrong. This monster, which was supposed to be the spirit of these kids, turns out to be the spirit with tentacles and eyeballs and whatnot.
Yeah, those are eyes.
And basically this monster is able to take them and put them in this fictitious world where basically they're living out their heart's desires. Buffy being with her family, and Dawn being with her family, Giles being a kid again and growing up, and Spike living with his mom. Or basically everybody's happy. However, Willow and Xander aren't there. And when they do show up, Xander and Willow know right away that there's no way this is real. And they slowly snap everybody out of it. And I'm not going to say how you snap out of it, but in the end, long story short, spoiler alert, they beat the demon. The only one that basically doesn't want to leave this world is Giles. And it's basically because he's never had a childhood, and now he's a kid again, and he's having trouble dealing with, what he went through as a child. And then the ending I'm not going to spoil, but basically Giles is going to have to grow up and get over certain things because it looks like the council is in need of their services. For what? I'm not going to say. You're just going to have to read this book to find out. So Mike, how about you with this book?
Alright,
which is BPRD Hell on Earth, issue 122.
Yeah, and it said it's a starting point for new readers, and
The Broken Equation, part 1 of 2.
It was half and half, this issue. I mean, it just started off where they're finding out about this mystical monster that's attacking everyone everywhere. And there's a team that's trying to find out, who or what is causing this. And there's also like a mention of other people in other realms. Not other realms. I'm thinking of something else. Other places that they can see this as well. If that makes any sense, because that's the best I can give of that. There is a lot of inner dialogue than dialogue, sort of, like half and half on that. But it just gets very chaotic with lots of energy and this really huge monster that appears in the last page. And that's to be continued. So that's the best I can give. I mean, I didn't read BPRD,
not PP.
I said BPRD from the start, but that's the best I can give for that issue of the explanation. This one,
this book was awesome. We found out about this book at New York Comic Con Special Edition. Tons of people were talking about it. Now we are going to talk about Little Nemo: Return to Slumberland.
This was awesome.
Issue number 1. The artwork was amazing. I will say that off the bat. Gabriel Rodriguez, for those of you that don't know Gabriel Rodriguez, lock and key.
Yeah.
The artwork was spectacular. The story was very, very gripping. It's about this boy who falls asleep, and he's in this wonderland, so to speak, this slumberland.
And they wanted him to go play with this girl that knew him. And he's like saying, you know, how little boys are like saying, like, ew, I don't want to play with girls, you know, like all that stuff. So they said, I'll tell you what, if you don't like what we show you in Slumberland without going to the girl, then you could turn back. And it's like every time he fell asleep, there was always a different scenario in a different dream. And
right.
It was just so... I don't know how to say it. It was like... I can't think of the words. It was like...
It's these humongous dreams, and every time he wakes up, it's him falling. I noticed that also.
Right, and he's always saying, like, no matter what, I'm not gonna sleep, so that way I don't go to this slumberland they're talking about. So, in every which way, in any form, he winds up going to meet this person who is trying to send him to Slumberland. Mm-hmm. And lots of mystical things happen on the way of going to Slumberland. Also with how he goes through these visions of how he gets there every night. And he saw Slumberland and he thought it was pretty interesting. But there was one of the people who he was working with was actually being legless because she's made out of candy, which I forgot.
This is a candy kid. I thought it was a boy.
It is a boy, isn't it?
It is a boy.
It is, yeah.
Then why did you say she?
I meant he, she, I don't know, but he actually, was like that, and now, I guess he's going to find...
It says to be continued in the next issue, so there's going to be more adventure in the next issue. This was spectacular. I loved it.
I really loved this.
Okay. Right. Next we have Transformers Robots in Disguise, issue number 32. In the last issue, we thought that, why did his name leave me? But I have an index. Prowl betrayed the Autobots. I mean, he knew about the Constructobot, whose name I cannot remember. I think it was Scoop, or whatever. Anyway, he knew about the betrayal that was going on. That he was a snoop or a spy for the Decepticons. He actually set the whole thing up. And we find out that he's not there to stop Jazz. He's not working on the human side, but he knows that if they pull Alpha Trion out, he's going to die automatically. So he said they've had tech for years. Alpha Trion's only been here for a couple of months. Something more is going on. And instead of taking Alpha Trion, they actually go and dig deep inside the system to find out what exactly the humans have. And, of course, the... Autobots break into the base. Things go to hell really quickly. I don't want to spoil how, but Galvatron, spoiler alert here, ends up killing the general and blaming it, the human general, and blaming it on the Autobots, making the Autobots even more hated than they were before. I'm not going to say what Prowl did in the moments he was in the base, but when they finally do escape, they escape with Alpha Trion. But Prowl tells Optimus there's something more going on here than you thought, and it ends with Thundercracker going into this hangar, and yeah, there's a lot more going on than I think Optimus knows about, and it's to be continued. I don't think in the next issue though, because next issue I believe we're back on Cybertron, because it says after months unconscious, Wheeljack awakes to find a strange new Cybertron. Starscream rules, Optimus Prime has made peace with the Megatron, and Windblade controls the city. What's a scientist to do?
Yeah, I like that. What's something to do?
So, I guess the next issue is going to focus on Starscream and stuff going on, Wheeljack, on Cybertron, which I'm okay with, but hopefully this story won't last too long. We get back to Optimus.
Alright, and now we get into Samurai Jack, issue number 11. And in this issue, it was really... I mean, Samurai Jack, it just keeps getting better and better each and every time. Well, now it got a little bit better now, other than unlike the previous issues. But he meets up with this guy who sees his sword, and he wants to make his sword more, how can I say, more powerful. And he knows of how to do that, but he's going to have to take him on top of this specific place where he can do that. And he fights off against, what were they, wolves, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Without his sword, because he needs to concentrate, and none of them can harm him, because if they do, he'll lose his focus on the sword. So he fights them. Samurai Jack fights the wolves, swordless. But after the guy was done, let's just say the sword is no longer to be used in a way that he could before. It's just an ordinary sword, not a little bit stronger than it was before, and you didn't make it more powerful. In other words, in the end, it was being powerless.
It was destroyed.
And it was destroyed. So now I worry about when he goes up against Aku, if he ever should meet him. Because, oh boy, he's in big trouble.
So, we don't review X-Files right now, but how is the X-Files Year Zero issue number 2?
Yeah, they're looking for this guy, Zero, but it's Xero. And it's really just them finding out a little bit more about him and where they can find him. That's really the basis of the whole book.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Because
Yeah.
it really looks like nothing much really happens other than them trying to find him. And
Yeah.
they get information
It was
about
a
him.
little bit interesting. It's just them trying to find him, but also what he looks like, so that way they can identify him and everything. That's really all I can say of Year Zero. I mean, you could read it for yourselves if you want to see it, but that's up to you guys. And we have also Star Slammers, issue number 6? Yeah, 6. And this is where, what was her name? I'm trying to remember what it
Meredith?
is. No, not Meredith. It was the Colonel. Colonel Fiadra. Colonel Fiadra and this guy who she met in last issue are going up against these robots from what we saw in the last issue. And they're working together to defeat them and all that. The artwork's really great, by the way. And as the issue continues, they meet up with their original teammates that they got lost with. So so he was glad that she was alive. But then there was more other things that we're talking about with Vidiot, who was with them as well. And there's just like a whole big dialogue of many, many things, and also a certain person that's like an avatar or something that thought this guy was something, and yeah, he just got his giggity on. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, going into the serious situation of the comic itself, it seems that there's going to be a new villain in the comic book, and it's going to play a really interesting role for the coming next month issue 7 of Star Slammers. So, sometimes Star Slammers can be good, other times it can be a little iffy. I would say it's pretty good. It's like a balance scale with Star Slammers, but I'd say read it if you've been reading all along, and if not, then you won't.
And with that, that's it for this week's Indie Review, guys. Don't forget to check out Comic Related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Whew, that was a long one. Number one source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Don't forget to check out my 1,000th video, guys. I took a lot of time to put that video together, and a huge thank you to all you guys. 1,001 and counting now. The big 2 reviews should be soon-ish, because I got a lot to read still. Lots coming. Live shows back on tomorrow, so or tonight, whenever you're watching this video.
So stay tuned
for that. So until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys in the next review.
Later, everybody.